All right, guys, Barber's Lounge back with an interesting one. And in this one, we're going to compare and review the Stylecraft Saber 2 against the Kemei KM-90-4. Two machines that look alike, but are extremely different when it comes to price. $299 versus $35. So let's just jump right into this. Okay, the Stylecraft Saber 2 comes with the Echo Blade. It's called the Echo Blade because it delivers the best crunch in the business, and we'll get into the stationary blade first. You see the stationary blade has extra deep teeth and grooves to give it that crunch. Also, one thing you have to be careful about is I have bent these teeth because they are so long and thin. You can bend those when you have your machine in transport. So definitely put something on it when you're moving the blade around from shop to home or anywhere else. This blade is coated in a DLC coating, diamond-like carbon, that helps your blade stay cool, stay sharp for longer periods of time, and rust preventative. On the flip side of the blade, you see it kind of has oil reservoirs, but it kind of doesn't. It looks like it's printed on there. I wouldn't expect that to retain any oil. And this has 21 teeth on the stationary blade. Moving on to the cutting blade, this is the Shallow 2.0 cutter, also coated in a DLC coating. You'll see it has that slope on the teeth to get right up on the blade to deliver a nice, clean, precise cut. Cutting blade has 28 teeth and shallow teeth as well. And the way the Shallow 2.0 cutter is made, there is a little room for the oil to sit on these blades, but not as good as a metal injection molded blade. And when you put these two blades together, this crunch is serious. You can hear every hair getting cut, and it's almost addictive. And it's also great for new barbers because you really hear when the machine is performing and cutting hair, so you know what it's doing. Now, let's move on to the Kemei blade. The Kemei blade has a little crunch as well. Talk about the stationary blade first. This is also coated in a DLC coating. This blade has 24 teeth on it, not as deep as the Echo Blade teeth and not as deep with the grooves either. And when you flip it over, there is no even attempt at any oil reservoirs. And let's move on to the cutting blade. Cutting blade also coated in DLC, a heavier cutting blade, not sloped as much. Cutting blade has 32 teeth. In comparison, the Echo Blade has less teeth on both the stationary and cutting blade. The Kemei blade has more teeth on the stationary and cutting blades. So you could expect the Stylecraft Echo Blade to cut hair faster and the Kemei blade to be a little more forgiving and detailing when you're cutting. All right, so let's move on to the motor of these two machines, and we'll start with the Saber 2. Okay, so the Stylecraft Saber 2 has the Eon brushless motor, which they claim is to be the best brushless motor on the market. And Eon, EON, stands for efficient, optimized, noise reduced. This is also a high torque motor, so this should give you no problem mowing through hair, and you shouldn't even be able to come close with stopping it with your hands, as you can see. Now, this motor also claims to run at 7,200 RPMs, like it says on the box. So let's test that. Stylecraft Saber 2. So you see we're right there at 7,186. You round that up a little bit, you're at 7,200. So holding true to the RPMs, which is typical for a brushless motor. Now let's talk about the motor that's in the Kemei. And this is where it starts to get wild. Now, the Kemei claims to get 11,500 RPMs on a large torque motor. And on the website, it says it's a brushless motor. So I bought two of these machines. One of them I used for a little bit, then ripped apart to see what was going on with it. And this very much looks like a brushed motor. But when you looked in it, that's a brushless motor. Now, I'm not saying that's the best parts or this is going to be the longest lasting, but I don't see any brushes in there. And this was the shaft that went down the middle. Now, if anyone knows stuff about motors, please feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think about this, because I'm not a motor pro, but I would love to know what you think. So let's move on to these RPMs. Kemei KM-90-4. 7,500 RPMs. Not bad. More than the Saber 2, but again, RPMs are on everything. That's just how fast the blades go. Nowhere near the 11,500. I don't know where they got that from, but I think that just is a growing trend with a lot of things. Like you'll see with flashlights on Amazon, they'll advertise it as like 2.5 million lumens just to get you to buy it, just to have the highest stats on Amazon. So it says a large torque motor. Definitely feels like it has less torque than the Saber 2, but this machine performed well. Now let's move on to the battery. So the Stylecraft Saber 2 claims to have 2.5 hours of runtime on its battery. Now let's test that. Okay, so you see we have 3 solid charging lights. That indicates we have a full battery. So now we'll throw the Saber 2 in the clamp and we'll see if we could get that 2.5 hours runtime that the Stylecraft Saber 2 advertises. All right, you see we only got 1 hour and 41 minutes of runtime with the Saber 2. Not a shock because a lot of Stylecraft machines usually come up low when it comes to their runtime. All right, also battery related, it has 2 charging options. The traditional Stylecraft cord, which can be plugged in, and it can be operated on with the cord. So you have corded operation as well. It can also charge USB-C. The USB-C port is located in the back, and it can be operated while charging on USB-C. Now the Kemei KM-90-4 claims to have 2.5 hours of runtime as well, so let's test that with the runtime test. Okay, so you see the LED screen is displaying a 100%. That's a full battery. So let's take the Kemei, throw it in the clamp, and let's see if we could get that 2.5 hours advertised runtime with this machine. So you see we got 3 hours and 34 minutes. That's an hour more runtime and a couple more minutes than advertised. So they were underselling the runtime and they were overselling the RPMs. Crazy. Additionally, you'll see with that LED screen that tells you the percentage of the battery, it also shows a red plug on the right to indicate when the battery is low and also when it is on the plug and charging. The oil can is on the left and that tells you when you need to oil the blades, usually about every 20% drop in battery. And also battery related, the Kemei has 2 charging options. The traditional plug if you have existing Kemei machines, and it will operate. The Kemei has a USB-C charging port as well, located on the bottom, which I like a little bit more. And when you are plugging this in, you have to make sure you get a click, because I've had this act funny on different USB-C cords. So make sure you get that click when you're plugging in the USB-C. Also, if you open your machine up to clean it or for any reason, don't take off this board, because when you take off this board, it will disconnect and probably crack off easily from where the charging port is, and then your machine won't charge. Now let's go over the body real quick. The Stylecraft Saber 2 has an all metal body. This whole section right here almost acts as a finger groove. It has the finger grooves along the back. 5 detent locking system. Has the drop top hair clean out door and is very compact. Here's the size in comparison to a Stylecraft Instinct. All right, now taking a look at the body on the Kemei. Quick comparison. Kemei is a little more compact. Has a little indentation here for the finger, and this could act as a grip as well. Finger grooves on the back, all plastic, lightweight. Has a click lever as well. The lever on here is real slim. It works, it's not really going to bother you, but it's not as big. This takes a little more force to go back and forth, but sometimes you wonder about how this is going to hold up. And the locking system is built in right into the plastic body. This also has the clean out door. Both of them are tinted. The Kemei one is a little darker tinted, so your client doesn't see the hair in there and think your machine is nasty. And a quick side note about the body, if you haven't wondered by now, why does this say exclusive to Mr. Tony? They all say that. I was wondering myself, I asked them, and it seems that in China, it's common for the hairdressers to pick an American name, and a lot of them pick Tony. So a master hairdresser is kind of known as a Tony, like a teacher Tony. That's the reason why it says exclusive to Mr. Tony. So it's an exclusive to the master hairdressers out there. All right, so let's run through the weight for both of these machines. Saber 2, 10.2 ounces. Kemei KM-90-4, 8.9 ounces. So obviously the lighter one is the plastic one. And let's check the sound. Saber 2. Coming in at about 75 decibels. Kemei KM-90-4. Coming in at 73 decibels. Now again, we'll talk about the price. At the time of this video, the Saber is an astonishing $299.95. And the Kemei KM-90-4 can be found on AliExpress for $35. Now, for those prices, what comes with them? So for the Saber 2, typical things. We get the oil, we get the useless brush, we get the screwdriver, the blade cover, extra cam follower to replace when your machine gets loud, stretch bracket to make your machine cut to a longer cutting length with no guard, extra replacement screws in case you lose them, 9-foot power cord, USB-C charging cable, a set of only four black tight guards, half, 1, 1.5, and 2, double magnetic, different magnetic drop top lids. This is the translucent tinted, that's the black, and this is the gold. And charging stand, which holds the machine very well. And what do we get for the Kemei? Now, when you order from AliExpress, you don't get any oil because there's a liquid restriction when shipping things. But you get the USB-C charging cable. You get a clean out brush, which is actually one, I use this type of brush when I clean off my blades. This is actually a useful brush with decent plastic. And you get a set of guards going up to a number 6. So you have the half, 1, 1.5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these guards aren't that bad. The plastic on them is pretty decent. And it even comes with the charging stand that connects to USB-C. Again, make sure the USB-C clicks in there. And the charging stand for this is a little awkward because it's kind of pitched forward when it's sitting down. So it's like, you feel like the machine is going to fall forward, but it doesn't. So another thing we're going to do for the first time is the heat test. So what we're going to do is we're going to let both machines run for 30 minutes and see how hot the blades get. All right, so I got the machines on. They're about to run for 30 minutes. You'll see the Kemei machine on the right. The blades eventually start to glow and get hotter. And you see the thermal cameras really picking up everything. So this is just to show that it runs for 30 minutes. And after the 30 minutes, I'm going to switch to a more precise target mode with this camera, and it's really going to show you the hot spots of the blade. So we're approaching 30 minutes, and now I'm going to switch over to the target mode. And you'll see at the bottom of the Echo blade, it's about 87, 90 degrees. And then when you go to the teeth, it gets up to about 99. In the contact area, it hits about 105, 106. Same thing with the Kemei, it's about 90 degrees at the base, 97 to 100 on the middle, and then at the contact area, it's over 100. And I had a hot corner there about 108 degrees, probably because something's misaligned. All right, now, we've already opened up, but let's tear them down again and see what they look like inside, side by side. All right, so side by side, here we go. Stylecraft Saber 2 and the Kemei KM-90-4. Okay, so my final thoughts. Yo, when I first got this Kemei KM-90-4, I was expecting the worst. I was expecting the blade to be grabbing pores, the motor to be whack, and it just to be junky all around. But this machine actually blew me away. I was expecting this to be just a bootleg Saber, but this machine blew me away. And when you compare the price, $299 to $35, there are companies out there that are selling charging stands for $50. This is $35 shipped from China. And you get a charging stand. And you get clips. You get a clean out brush you can actually use. And you have the LED screen that tells you what percentage the battery is at. Click lever sounds smooth. There's a lot of things like, and this is coming from a professional barber, and I've let other people use the machine and it stayed on their station. So, you know, it doesn't have a better blade than the Saber. It doesn't have a better motor. The Saber may be an all-around better machine, but what you get for the price, this is comparable. I'm not saying this is going to last long or anything like that, but if you're somebody that just cuts hair at home, even if you're a professional barber, what do you have to lose at that price? This could be a machine that you just have as backup, something you bring on to go, something you have as just in case. It's a good machine, man. It performs well. But at the end of the day, man, is the era of super expensive machines going to come to an end? Barber's Lounge, some things to think about. Peace.